octopus, 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 and a clapping seal, clapping seal, clapping seal, clapping seal. There's a jellyfish, 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 and a walking crab, walking crab, walking crab, walking crab. Yay!
Hello friends, my name is Auntie Engela. Welcome to my animal storyland. Today's story is Mrs. Pepperpot Learns to Swim. In the warm weather, Mrs. Pepperpot always walked through the wood when she went shopping. In the middle of the wood was a large pool where the village children swam. They splashed about and raced each other up and down. Mrs. Pepperpot always stopped to watch, and she would sigh to herself and think, if only I could do that, because nobody had taught her to swim when she was a little girl. Look, there's Mrs. Pepperpot, and there's all the kids having a blast in the pool. Doesn't that look like fun? One day, when she got home, she decided to practice swimming in the kitchen. She balanced herself on her tummy on the kitchen stool, but when she flung out her arm, she knocked a saucepan of soup all off the stove. Look how funny is that? She practiced in the kitchen on a stool. Every night she would dream about swimming. One night she dreamed she could do the breaststroke. She stretched forward her arms, bent her knees, and then wham! One foot almost kicked a hole in the wall, and the other knocked Mr. Pepperpot out of the bed. "What's the matter with you?" said Mr. Pepperpot. "I'm swimming," answers Mrs. Pepperpot, who was still half in a dream. "And it's the most wonderful feeling." "Well, it's not wonderful for me, I can tell you," said Mr. Pepperpot crossly. Just look how she kicked him out of the bed. Then came a bright, warm day when all the village children were going on a picnic in the mountain. "That's good," thought Mrs. Pepperpot. "There will be no children in the pool today, and I'll have a chance to learn how to swim." And she walked through the wood to the pool. Oh, it certainly looked inviting, with the sun shining down through the leaves and making pretty patterns on the still water. She sat down on the soft grass and took off her shoes and stockings. Peering over the edge, she could see the water was very shallow, so she stood up and said to herself, "All right, Mrs. P, here goes!" And she jumped in. But just at that moment, she shrank. And now, of course, the pool seemed like an ocean to the tiny Mrs. Pepperpot. "Help! Help!" she cried. "Hold on!" said a deep, throaty voice from below, and a large frog swam smoothly towards her. "You should never jump in a pool if you don't have someone with you," he said. "Now get on my back." And he swam to a rock so Mrs. Pepperpot could get her breath. Just look at that big frog. Isn't it lucky that he was around to save Mrs. Pepperpot? Oh, that's a big frog. "You're a very good swimmer," said Mrs. Pepperpot. The frog pulled himself up importantly. "I'm the best swimming teacher in this pool," he said. "Do you think you could teach me to swim?" asked Mrs. Pepperpot. "Of course. We'll begin right away, if you like. Frogs are very good at breaststroke. You climb on my back and watch what I do." Mrs. Pepperpot watched how the frog moved his arms and legs in time. Just look at that. He's going to teach her how to swim. Then he found her a little piece of floating wood and told her to hang on. And she pushed along with her legs just like the frog had done. After a while, she found herself swimming along with a piece of wood. And then she swam without the piece of wood. "Yippee!" she shouted with excitement. Here she was swimming with her wood, and look at that, she's swimming without a piece of wood. But the frog, who had been swimming close to her all the time, came up behind her and lifted her onto his back. "That's enough for the moment," he said, and took her back to the rock for a rest. Mrs. Pepperpot was feeling so pleased with herself, she wanted to carry straight on and learn the crawl. "Not so fast, my dear," the frog said. "You must keep practicing breaststroke before you can do other things. But I'll get my tadpoles to give you a show of the water acrobatics. How's that?" "Wonderful," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "Come on, children," he croaked. "I want you to show this lady all your best tricks." How nice is that? Look at Mrs. Pepperpot sit there and looking at the little tadpoles doing little tricks. First, the tadpoles swam to the top, then they dived to the bottom. Then they wove in and out of the reeds in a beautiful pattern. And then, like an aeroplane doing acrobatics, they rolled over and over and looped and looped. Just look at that, going up and down and swimming nice patterns. That must have been lovely to see, don't you think? The frog had puffed himself up so much that he was nearly bursting with pride. Mrs. Pepperpot was just standing up to cheer the tadpoles when she found herself rolling about in what seemed more like a large puddle than a deep pool. She had grown. As she picked herself up and watched out of the water to the bank, she could see no sign of the frog or the tadpoles, so she hurried home. Look, there she is, standing up in the puddle. Now she's so big and the puddle is so small. A few days passed before Mrs. Pepperpot got a chance to go back to the pool. But before she knew it, she was swimming along and she felt very proud. Then she saw that she was being followed. There was the frog, and behind him were all the tadpoles. The frog came to the top of the water and gave a loud croak. "Thanks, Mr. Frog," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "You're the best swimming teacher in the world." "I told you so," said the frog, and with an elegant kick of his back legs, he did a nosedive into the pool, and all the tadpoles followed him. Just look at him diving down. Oh, wasn't that a lovely little story? All right, friends, now I'm going to show you how to make a little frog. So, moms, first you have your child paint a piece of paper nice and green. So, if kids paint a whole paper, it helps them to cross the midline, which is a great exercise for brain development. Then you paint a toilet roll. That's also a very easy and nice thing to do. Right. Then you let your child draw lines on the paper. Alright, so if you don't have a ruler, you can use a cardboard or anything you have, and you draw lines all the way down. So mommies, to let your kids draw the lines themselves by holding onto the ruler or the piece of cardboard, it helps the two hands to work together, which is also good for brain development. So we want two pieces, then we let you let them cut it out. So it's two long green pieces. Then you take your toilet roll and your glue, and you bend your paper and make a little foot. And you put your glue on. Put your glue on the inside that you can stick the round part on. Like this. Then we're going to make another one. So you bend it and make a part for a foot. Just like that. You put on the glue. And then you have two legs. Then you stick them on the side of the frog. So I'm going to put some glue on the side. And then some glue on the other side. And remember, all crafts activities are so good for brain development because you have to use both hands together. Alright, there you have your little frog. Now all that we need is eyes. So you just draw little eyes on your frog. And there we go, a beautiful little frog. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed our story today. Go enjoy making your frogs. Remember moms, you can make all sorts of animals with toilet rolls. See you again next time. Bye bye. Dankie dat julle saam geluister het maatjies. Ek seker julle het ons storie geniet. Mamas, subscribe asseblief op ons YouTube channel en like en share ons Facebook bladsy. As jy kind sukkel om te lees, bied ons ook 1-tot-1 online leessessies tydens die lockdown en ons kan ook 'n Zoom sessie reël vir jou en jou maatjies in die klas. Dat julle weer mekaar se gesiggies kan sien, lekker saam kan lees en dan kyk ons wie kan onthou. Lekker dag, totsiens.